thanks for tuning in with us today for another wonderful episode of Rise Talks, the Business Spotlight Series. In this series, we shine light on everyday tax professionals all over the world who are looking to build successful tax and accounting firms. I'm Moses Ade, and this is LaShawn Ade, your wonderful host for today. And we basically help tax entrepreneurs build, scale, and sell profitable tax businesses to make money, of course. If you're interested in being part of this series or just wants to learn more about the ways we can help you build your tax firm, send us an email to inquiry@sellyourbusinessatlanta.com.
Yes, and so today we are joined here with the lovely LuSundra Everette EA,
Yes.
and she is the home biz tax lady. We are so excited to interview LuSundra because she's doing something that a lot of tax entrepreneurs really want to do, and that is building their tax business completely online. LuSundra, if you would please just share with us how you got started in the industry.
Okay, so actually taxes was something I'd always had an interest in, but being an Army wife, so, yes, it's the whole thing, move all the time, blah, blah, blah. So I would never know when the classes were, or I would find out afterward. Okay, so it was something that I'd always wanted to do, but it just so happens that this happened to be at the Girl Scout meeting. And one of the other moms, she says, hey, my parents own this tax franchise and they got a tax class coming up. Now, I was headed in a completely opposite direction, but I put the brakes on, sign me up. And
Yes.
like, I might not ever get this opportunity again. And I've been waiting for it for a long time. So sign me up. And that's how I got started. I got started in a tax franchise. Like I said, I wasn't even looking for that. And then in that tax franchise, so I got started in that January of 2016, as a matter of fact. And, like February-ish, the manager says, okay, so listen, I got to go out of town. I'm going to go buy this business. Here's the keys. Like, what? She's like, I'm leaving you in charge. I'm like, but I've been here for 5 minutes and the other chick's been here for 10 years. How you going to leave me the keys? Like, for real? She's like, listen, I need somebody that can make a decision. Okay. This is what I need from you right now. I was like, okay, great. So now I have keys. I called my husband. I was like, babe, they left me in charge. And he fell out laughing. So, but being under this owner was absolutely fabulous. Being under his tutelage, I went there with a mission to really learn the business, learn as much about processes and everything. So I went there with a mission, not to just punch numbers, but to really learn about the business itself. So that's how I fell into it.
Wow, that is so amazing. So you say that you help business owners win the tax game. How do you help them?
Because they need to know stuff. Because the thing about it is, business is very easy to get into. And, and I tell people all the time, the main reason I got there is this. While I was at that tax franchise, one of the things that I noticed is that home business owners wound up in the most trouble because they didn't know the information that they really needed to have to substantiate these expenses. They just heard they could deduct this, they heard they could deduct that, but really didn't know exactly how the laws applied to them. So that really became my mission. I come from the home business industry. I have been there, done that. You had the parties and all of that to prove it, but really to help educate business owners on what they need to substantiate their deductions, not just you get to write something off, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who does your taxes. If you don't have the paper to prove what you're claiming, then if you get audited, it's all for naught. So I come from an education background to let business owners know you just need to know how to substantiate your deductions. It's not your job to know the tax law. Your job is to get out there and make your paper. It's not for you to know tax. That's my job. That's why you hire professionals whose job it is to know, what's the latest on the street and how it can help you. So that I come from the complete education background to teach you what you need to know. So if the auditor does come, then, you're going to be good.
Wow. So with that being said, do you think it's ever a good idea for a small business owner to file their own taxes?
No. You know? No, okay. So in all seriousness, now there are some places out there that teach you the basics of what you need to know. So I get when you're bootstrapping, you know, you're first getting started, that you really might not have that much going on. So yeah, you absolutely could. But again, your job is to grow your revenue. You can't do that if you're trying to read Internal Revenue Code 199. So you ain't got time for all that. So by the time you pay the tax professional, the amount of time that you will save, you could have spent that time earning some more money. So, you know, so that's why I tell people, I get it in the beginning. You might not be able to pay that tax professional, but in that beginning phase, you need to be looking for your tax professional. You need to be looking for that next step to say, who can I give this to, and move on.
Wow. Very good. I completely agree with you. They need to outsource to an expert, and they need to focus on building their revenue, because that's what we're in business for at the end of the day.
Yes.
So LuSundra, let's talk about life as a tax entrepreneur. We always hear the term automation being pulled out. What does automation mean to you? How do you use it in your business?
Okay, so there are some things that are automated, like booking appointments. That can be automated, right? So I use Calendly for that. There's lots of different appointment setting systems where you send somebody a link, they figure out the time they want to talk, and boom, there you go. That eliminates a lot of back and forth. But really, for us, it really is a high contact business during, especially during tax season, because there's always somebody that didn't read the form that you sent, that didn't send all the forms that you sent, and that's different for everybody. So you really can't automate those kinds of processes. You need a human intervention in that. But I use Trello to help track where people are in their returns. I hired a productivity consultancy. I did not try to figure this out on my own. Mm-hmm. I hired a productivity consultant that really helped me map from the time a customer books a call with me until they get through the door. And then once they get through the door, until their return is processed, mapped out all of those steps so that I can just move someone along each step of the way. And then I also have a VA that helps, with confirming appointments and such.
Okay, nice. Great. So yeah, I love exactly what you said. You can automate most of it, especially the scheduling, but you'll never be able to fully automate the whole process.
Oh, absolutely not. Because see, that's where you find out if you're worth your weight in salt, right? Because if you're a professional, I tell people all the time, there's a tax professional and there's somebody that just does taxes. Somebody that just does taxes is punching numbers, and don't call them April 16th because you can't get a hold of them, right? But tax professionals, we're looking at the whole big picture, and it's always a lot of different moving parts. If your tax return doesn't change from one year to the next, okay, great. But people in business, it's going to change. Yeah. So if you're increasing your revenue, then a tax professional is going, woo, boo, next year we might need to put you in a different structure, right? Because you bossed out over here, and so we might need to change. Mm-hmm. That takes critical thinking that you can't automate that.
All right. So one of the things I'd like to ask you, LuSundra, with your automations, we really talk about like how often you should be touching your customers. So the pre-touch and the post-touch. So what types of, how do you communicate with your tax clients at the time that they file with you? And then how do you speak to them after?
So, of course, during the time that they file, it's high touch, emailing back and forth. And sometimes like, look, we just need to get on the phone right now because I sent you 15 emails and we're still not there yet. So we need to get on the phone. But post touch, but post season, it's generally quarterly, like, hey, what's going on? Especially my clients that have quarterly estimated taxes, especially the ones that are new to quarterly estimated taxes. I'm like, hey, no, it is not my job to call you, but I'm gonna need for you to stay compliant, right?
Stay on it.
And at the end of the year, I usually send a handwritten note, Christmas card or something, for people that I know that celebrate Christmas, or if I know you celebrate something else, then, then I send a card. And generally it's when I send those handwritten cards that people like, oh my gosh, I need to book with you. So do not underestimate the handwritten note. Yes, it takes time. It takes energy. Like, oh my God, I don't want to write all of these cards. But if you make it a part of the tax preparation process so that, you know, it's in there and you can just send it at the appropriate time, it makes it a little bit easier to handle. But people aren't sending handwritten notes, especially not tax professionals. Like, you know, they get the cards, you know, like from send out cards, you know, book your appointment. But when you're sending a handwritten note saying, hey, wishing you a happy holiday, wishing you a happy birthday, wishing you something, right? That's when, like, oh my gosh, I had somebody actually email me and said, listen, I almost threw your card in the trash because I thought it was just one of those automated things. And then when I happened to open up and saw that you actually sent me a note, I was so touched. And can you book me for like January something? Like, gotcha. Absolutely can book you for that, you know? So yeah, don't underestimate that handwritten note that's really going to, you know, give you that extra little something over everybody else.
Oh wow, I really love that. That's really valuable information because the tax preparation industry is so saturated, we have to be thinking of ways that we can compete or, you know, just become the expert and not be like everyone else. So I think that is a great tip. Now, you mentioned that you work with a VA earlier. Besides scheduling, are there any other things that the VA does for you? I know you have a lot of graphics in your social media. Do they schedule those for you, or what kind of tasks do they do for you?
All of that right there. Yeah, because, you know, us tax people, we are in the box people. So that creativity thing totally escapes me. So I outsource that. Because people are like, oh my gosh, you can just go to Canva. No, I cannot. I can go to Fiverr. I can go to Elamp. I can go, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can go outsource that. But yeah, she does all, you know, all of my graphics. Like, I do daily tax tips. So I send her enough to last her for a month, and about 2 weeks out, she's like, hey, send me some more tax tips. And so I do that, and she puts them on the graphics and she schedules all of that stuff. I do my own commenting. I do my own engagement, because that's really not something that she can do when people are asking tax questions. But as far as scheduling posts, creating graphics, all of that I really don't need to do, yeah, I definitely outsource that.
And did you think it was hard or overwhelming to find a VA?
Not really, but I guess the thing about that people have to know about a VA is that depending on what you want them to do is really depending on how much is, you know, will determine how much it costs. So if you want a VA that they do exactly what you tell them to do, not a step to the left or to the right, you're going to pay about $3 an hour. But if you really want somebody that is a thinking member of your team, then you're going to pay a little bit more. And yeah, my VA is in India. Okay. And if you're going to pay for a United States VA, you're going to pay a little bit more, but you have to know exactly what it is that you're looking for. Like my VA, I said, listen, I need for you to be sharp. I need for you to be thinking. And if you see something, say something, right? Because we can't see it all. And one of the first things she said, she's like, listen, you need white in your graphics. You need to add some white. See, this looks better than that. I was like, yes, it does. Thank you very much.
I love it. I love it. So let's see. So you mentioned your daily lives that you do, and that's one of the ways that I actually learned about you. And I just thought it was the neatest thing ever. You actually have committed to going Monday through Friday, consistent lives. So how has that changed your business?
It helps with the visibility. I live by the mantra, if people can't see you, they can't pay you. Mm-hmm. So I'm live every day. I'm giving something. You have to show up for your audience every day and really give that kind of value. You know, like I said, I'm an Army wife, and so moving is what I do. And so I'm never in one place long enough to build a business, a traditional route, you like with the local community and all of that, right? So yeah, that just doesn't work. So with the internet, you have to be visible. You have to be, you know, that you have to become that source of information. And I have other tax professionals that have been in my inbox and you're telling too much, even my mother. My mama is in my inbox saying, why are you telling people this? They should be paying you for that. But you know, you can't worry about that because we are in the stalker generation. The internet is local, but it's also global. And so if people can't go Google you, then they're not going to call you. We're in the stalker generation. They want to know if you can help them before they even call you. And by sharing content, by answering questions, that's all I do is I answer questions every day. That's what I do.
LuSundra, I know a lot of tax preparers, and me especially, there was like a kind of like, I don't know if I would say a fear or just hesitance to actually start doing the lives. How did you ever have that, and how did you get over it?
I just went for it. Now, I've been on the internet for a while, and the thing about, doing lives and doing videos that people tend to fear is how they're going to look. Like, oh my gosh, how am I going to sound? I stumble over words. I'm going to look stupid, all of that. It's going to suck in the beginning. Just do it. Okay. Because I look at some of my earlier videos and I'm like, I don't know how nobody wants to do it. I look at them now like, oh, I want to delete these things. But I don't because I want people to see the progression. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're so comfortable on camera. Yeah, it did not start out that way.
It's growth.
It really is growth, and being okay with that growth. When you first get started, you're really talking to nobody. And that's okay, because that's the time that you develop your voice. That's when you're really getting comfortable. So you do it even when nobody is watching, because that's when you build your own comfort level. And then by the time you have eyeballs, you're like, we got this. We on and popping. Let's get in. Let's get her done.
Right.
So yeah, it really is a decision to just do it. And, and whatever comes out, right? I've done it where my hair is like this big, like the big Mufasa hair. But that's my commitment though. I've had my baseball cap days. I tell them, tax season is bun season. So don't expect me to be fabulous. I can be cute or I can be smart. Tax season is the time to be smart. It's, I can't do both. Like you sit up here with your lipstick on, you're fabulous. I see all of that right there. Okay. I don't look like that during tax season.
Wow. I can't even believe you were still doing lives during tax season.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Kudos.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about mindset, because I feel like in order to get up and be consistent every single day, you have to have that mindset right. So do you have like a daily routine or something that you do every day to stay consistent?
Yeah, we just push play, push go live.
Right, it's time.
No, I watched this great webinar from a marketer, and one of the things that he said that stuck out to me, he said, "You will not out-exist me." And that was very key for me, because I then started to look at the landscape of tax professionals that I could find that were on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. And that's what I said, you will not out-exist me. I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up every day. Even sometimes my lives are crappy. But Grant Cardone said, suck and be seen. So even if it was crappy, I'm still there. And what that does is that it creates that top of mind, that top of mind energy, so that, when I'm in various groups, there are people that are asking for a tax professional, and there's 2 or 3 people who have recommended me on that post. You're staying top of mind. So that's what you're going for. You want in your business, in your audience, and when somebody says, I need a tax professional, you want to be the only person that they think of. Yeah. That's it. There's nobody else that exists but you. That's what you want.
Wow, that's good though. That's really good. I really could say that you are doing a wonderful thing, and yeah, definitely. And people will be looking up to a lot of things that you're doing, and they could learn from this. Even from this video right now, they could learn from you, and become more proficient and effective tax professionals.
Yeah, so, and it's going to require you to keep learning, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It will definitely do.
Yeah.
And so, the other, you talk about mindset. The other mantra I live by is that if it's important enough for you to write it down, it's important enough for your audience to know. So even though you think that they really might not know what you're talking about, that's okay. Because see, when you come with some lupus stuff, like you start talking about cases and what, they're like, shut up. Like I just did a live about Facebook. Facebook is in a fight with the IRS right now. I'm like, who knew, right? But they're like, oh my gosh, that Facebook is, it's these types of things, the things that, that people would ordinarily not care about, but you're bringing it to their attention. Like, oh my gosh, it is so wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And then they look at you for the information and say, please tell us more.
Yes, exactly. That's when you become the trusted source. And that's your goal. When you become the trusted source, then when it comes down for tax business, for tax questions, they're coming to you.
Exactly. So let me ask you this. When you are processing a new client virtually, right? Mm-hmm. What does that process look like?
Okay, so there is a client data sheet.
Okay.
And if they are, because my business is primarily home business owners. So everybody gets a client data sheet because that's the same thing. We got to know your name, your birthday, social security number, if you got kids, own a house, all of that stuff. And then if they're self-employed, I also send a client, the organizer, for them to, to get their stuff together. To say, okay, how much I got in advertising costs and all that, so they can assemble those things. And so that's the beginning. And then once I get that back, and I also have a document checklist, so they can go through and say, okay, I got, if I got W-2s, 1099s, if I, got, my mortgage interest form, all of those things, so they can go through that checklist. Now, do they always go through the checklist? No.
Exactly. No, of course not. Of course not.
No.
You gotta ask them.
You gotta ask them, like, okay, I'm seeing last year's return again.
Did you have Obamacare?
Interest this year? Like, yes. Do you have health care? Because you had it last year. Do you have it this year? So they do get all of those things, as well as for my home business owners, I ask for the previous 3 years returns, because I got to see what you did. Mm-hmm. There are some people that don't have those, so I'm gonna need for you to understand, like, how long do I need to keep the paper till you die? If you are a business owner,
just keep it.
Right? Like, this is a small price to pay for, complete and copious records, right? So I don't get down with that whole 7-year thing. Like, even when I took my EA exam, the statute says, up to 7 years. But if the EA exam people say, yeah, this is what the law says, but we're telling you, you need to keep the stuff forever, keep the stuff forever. So we have, the previous year's 3 years tax returns, because I want to look at the big picture. Like, this is where you really get your money's worth, because I'm not going to just randomly let you claim a loss in year 4 if I look over the last 3 years and be like, baby, you have not been making any money. So either you're not making some money or somebody not telling the truth. But if we file this way, the IRS is going to be coming. Okay. So you make a decision. I'm going to do what you tell me to do, because I ultimately work for you, but your overall big picture looks like this. And so that's what you pay a tax professional for. So that's how that initial, how that first intake comes in. And then I really look, I prepare their taxes and I look at the overall big picture. And then that's when we reconnect. Like, okay, so here's what I see. This is what you can be doing differently. And, like, whatever you want me to do is what we're going to do. And, and then we proceed, get it filed. I send you your final copy, throw some deuces, and we'll see you next year. And I'll be sending you an email of something, especially if I know something that's coming down the pipe that's really going to affect my clients. Then I'm like, hey, here's this article. You need to go read this right here. So yeah, so that's really the whole process. And what I found is my clients are like, this is so easy, because I do use a portal. I do use a client portal for people to upload their documents. For some people, it's like, can I just email it? Sure, you can email it. But, I have the secure portal, if you want to just upload there, and you can, send and receive your documents that way, or we can email and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever find that being a home business entrepreneur that tax clients are hesitant with, new tax clients might be hesitant with going with you because you don't have that standard office or one location?
No. Actually, no. What I have found to be the hang up, if you will, is when people say, you've only been in business a year and a half? Like, yeah. I'm like, but please don't let this 18 months fool you. Okay. I ain't know. Right? Like, don't get it twisted. Like, I'm all of a sudden a dummy because, like, okay, you do you. But no, but being a home business entrepreneur has never been an issue with my clients, and really because we're moving to a more virtual space. So they're like, so I don't have to leave my house? No, if you have a scanner, scan your stuff and I'll call you.
All virtual. All virtual.
Like, no, there is no sitting in a tax office at midnight. No, none of that.
Yes.
Yeah. We're in the tax office now, and we're being here grinding do tax.
Right. And so that is so that's one of the perks for my clients, and especially for my military clients. They're like, so it doesn't matter where I am, doesn't matter where you are. If we got some internet,
the power of the internet.
The internet is so sexy, y'all.
Oh wow, the power of the internet.
I love it.
Hercules.
So when you've only been in business for a little over a year, but you have your EA. So when did you find the time to get that?
So what had happened was, remember, like I said, I got started in the tax franchise, and the owner, he kept talking about next season, and when you take your test next year. I was like, wait a minute, I just took a test. Why gotta take another test? He's like, no, you gotta take a test every year. I'm like, dude, I don't want to take a test every year. That sucks, right? And he says, well, if you don't want to do that, then become an EA. Like, I didn't know exactly what that was, but cool. And so it just so happened that there was a local community college that had a class for the EA. So he said that in May, I was signed up in school.
Nice.
Action taker.
Oh, I was not playing at all. And so, this is really one of those things, like, I totally believe in divine intervention and that the universe really does conspire to help you. And it just so happens that my instructor was an Army wife. She was an EA. And she said to me, I don't meet my clients. I was like, oh,
yes.
If I had pearls, I would clutch them. Right? Like, holy hell, like, when can I take you to dinner, buy your drink, do you laundry? I will do whatever you want me to do. I need to know how you are doing this. And she's like, listen, once you get your EA, she says, you'll be fine. And so I was very excited. And then I have a friend of mine, again, the power of Facebook, when you put out to the world what you're doing, she was in my inbox. She's like, listen, I've been doing this for about 20 years. You need to go get your EFIN. You need to do A, B, C, D, E. And so, she's like, and you need to do the EFIN now because it takes forever. And so I was on it. You're right. And I was under the gun because I was getting ready to move yet again.
Wow.
So I needed to get it done. Yeah.
So do you recommend anybody that's starting right now to have a mentor before they go into the tax preparation business?
Oh, yes, that would be very helpful.
It takes a lot of stress off you, right?
Absolutely. So, okay. So really, absolutely. So for my first tax season on my own, that first tax return is like it was sitting here. I was like, oh my God. I was like, snap out of it. You can totally do this. But still, it was like, who can I call? Mm-hmm. Right? I'm like, okay, have a woosah, like you will figure this out. But yeah, it's like having that person to be able to call, not only for how to run your business, but, to ask tax questions too. Thank God for Facebook groups with tax professionals, because that really helped me when I was having the moment of duh. When you have done like 1,500 tax returns, you're like, wait, is it deductible? Is it not? Like, I just cannot think anymore. Help me.
Brain is on fire.
Right? Your brain is absolutely on fire. Like, I have numbers running through my head. I don't know. So absolutely having a mentor to help you along in the business, but also having that person you can call to ask about tax stuff, to when you do have everybody has that fried brain moment. If you don't, just keep living. It's going to happen. And somebody dumps this, corporate tax return, and then you looking like, wait a minute, you've been a C Corp for 5 years, but where's your other tax returns? Like, I know you should have that. And so you do, all that stuff is going to happen. And so absolutely having a mentor, building a squad of other tax professionals, like there's enough tax business to go around, and, and really learning to specialize.
Yes.
Like people like, if there's anything that I would tell a new tax professional is to find that thing that you totally rock out in and rock it out. if you're going to be like, for me, it's home business taxes. I got S corporations and C corporations, but the door in is through home biz taxes. If it's a farm, if it's a trust, if, whatever that is, rock out at it.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So if you could wave a magic wand and change anything in your business right now, what would it be?
Other than getting started sooner?
Yeah.
Other than that, I can honestly say I am really cool right now. I am at peace. I know that I am where I'm supposed to be. I have, my husband, God love him. He's like, listen, you've done way more in a year than most people have done in 5. I'm gonna need for you to sit down because I'm sitting here like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. And he's like, I'm gonna need for you to take a seat, like have several seats, right? Because he's like, you're going out there, you're just a year old. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just a year old. But I'm like, but listen, I got like cease and desist. So I am, but it's a point of I am grateful where I am, but I know there's more.
Yes.
So I am positioning myself for more. That is what I'm doing.
Awesome. It's always room for growth.
Always room for growth. Because, and the thing about it is, you talk about growth, and this is where, the difference between tax professionals and doing taxes is that if you're a tax professional, even if you don't have the letters behind your name, if you're constantly growing, then you're a professional. But if you don't think about taxes anywhere from, between January 22nd when the IRS opens and tax deadline, how are you of any value to the community, to your customer base? How are you any value if all you're doing is punching in? People can really go to TurboTax and punch in some numbers, really.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that that's so true. You have to give value. And like you said, you can't be scared of giving too much value. If I give too much value, they're not going to want to come to me. They're going to feel like they can get it for free. When the truth is, when you become the source, you're seen as the specialist. And so they draw to you. And you're attracting your clients versus having to go and chase them.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. And with this, look, with this internet space, that's what you really have to do. Is like, I do have, people that reach out to me and like, okay, so I watched all 500 of your videos. Like, don't you have a life, baby? You could have booked a consult and saved yourself some time. But it is, when you're talking about the internet space, it really is being open with the information. Like, and I even tell them on my videos, you can't get a tax consult on YouTube. I'm not going to be able to solve all of your problems. YouTube and Google can't do it. As much as Google don't know everything. Okay. And so even with as much content as I give, it's still like, you have to have someone looking at your stuff. Like, I had this lady get seriously upset with me because she was trying to file an amendment. And I said, listen, you need to go find a tax professional to help you with this. And she was ticked because I would not sit there on YouTube.
Oh, wow.
And try to answer her question. Like, listen, at some point, sometimes you have to go to a professional. Go do it. If you want it done right, hire somebody.
For real.
Like, dude, it's not that hard, but you want to be cheap and make it my problem. I can't help you.
Right. You can only get so much information for free, right?
I got to eat too.
Right.
But it's not only that. It's just that, free information will only get you so far. Everybody's tax situation is different. Just because you give me something doesn't mean that that's all there is, right? Once I look at all your information, I might be asking something else. And I don't need you trying to go to the IRS and LuSundra said this and they come for me and my little EA. I work too hard for that. Hire the professional.
Oh, man. I love you, LuSundra. This has been so much fun.
Thanks a lot.
I guess we're going to end it here. I just want to thank you so much for sharing all that valuable information. I think this is really going to be valuable to a lot of people because you've only been doing it a little over a year. And just look at you. You are absolutely on fire, really positioning yourself as an expert in your field. And so we hope this information was valuable to everybody watching it. And if you have a tax business that you've been running, but you haven't been seeing the results that you want, you can contact us. We have online courses, live meetups, and mastermind sessions designed to help you build a profitable tax business. So thank you so much, LuSundra. And I just hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And more blessing to your business.
Thank you. I receive all of that.
Right?
Yes,
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.